Hey there, welcome to this video. This is my third take. So the first one, I didn't know that the thingy was recording the voice of the underwater video, which was pretty loud. The second time I had already muted everything, so I had muted my mic as well. So yeah, now that we're into this video, please ignore my outfit if you can. I know you can. I'm still Christian. It's summer, it's super hot. Basically everything that I put on looks like this, so I apologize. I also will apologize about my fridge in the kitchen, which is in the next room, and it's having like a super meaningful conversation with my stuff, which by the way also makes super weird sounds, and I don't know their language, but I'm telling you, sometimes they fight. Don't you just love it when people are, I'm sorry about my dog that has been barking for 3 days because I haven't showered them for 5 weeks. Yeah, just ignore it. So now that I got your interest, I'm here to tell you about good friends trying to warn you about a toxic person that you're about to get involved in with, a romantic thing with, or you may be already married to them. Um, doesn't really matter to me what level of relationship it is. It's never too late to make a good choice for yourself. And safety first is one of the things that I've learned in the army in my medic course. So if you're wounded or not, safety is always first. So it doesn't matter if you're married to the person or if you're just on the second date with them. My mind wants me to apologize about the video. Yeah, I was too lazy to change my setup for Streamlabs, so you're gonna be seeing this video of beautiful air bubbles floating in the water under a wave. I just love wave anatomy underneath it. Anyway, it was 2000, I wanna say 7. Yes, it was 2007. I was young and green. I didn't know almost anything about relationships, even though I'd been in a couple of long-term relationships. I was super young and didn't know anything about toxic people. The people that I had dated were pretty healthy. I hadn't met anyone as crazy as my family before. And so I was on this site, Israeli site at the time, where I would anonymously share my poetry and things that I would write. And I remember back then, writing for me was a way of maybe transmuting emotions and also telling my story, but without telling my story because I didn't really own it at the time. And for those of you who are here for the first time, you probably be hell of a lot surprised, excuse me for using that word, about my other videos. But yeah, my story is in there somewhere. And I come from a very toxic family, just to put it simply. And so it was 2007. I was trying any way that I could to heal my wounds and with writing. And that's when I met this guy, Israeli guy. I guess I kind of liked the way he looked, but at the time he had a girlfriend, and I wasn't, like that person who tried to break up people. But then again, he would write to me like these long messages, and I would respond for a couple of months. I think it was like a month or two. And I remember just being in university, and then one day he goes, "Oh, and we were in the same university, but I'd never met him in real life. It was just online thingy." And it was pretty interesting to just, share stuff with him and hear what he had to say. He was a pretty interesting character. He knew a lot about a lot of things in terms of culture, pop culture, cool music, and arts, and all that jazz. And one day he says, my girlfriend broke up with me, so we should go out. Silly little me fell into the trap. Long story short, I started dating him. It didn't work out. It was pretty short-lived story. I ended it. Intuitively, somehow I knew that I should do a what's it called? a no contact break off from all of it. So that's what I did. And maybe 2 months in, or three, I don't know really. I can't remember, it was too long ago. He writes me a late night text where he says, I miss you, blah, 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 we should meet again. And then we started dating seriously. And that's when I had him meet my friend. I had at the time, I want to say a close friend, but to be honest, like I don't think at the time, I wasn't really vulnerable with people in terms of what I was living through in my family and where I come from because no one honestly believed me ever. So I couldn't really share that part of my life even though I really wanted to. And yeah, so this friend and I would share stuff. We were close in terms of what she would share with me and how we would talk about things, but I don't think I ever shared with her how hard my life had been. And this one time we went out, three of us, to grab something to eat in some really lame place in Jerusalem. I still remember it as though I'm like seeing it through my eyes. That's why I'm like freaking staring at the distance because I'm seeing it. I even remember the light that day. I remember we ordered hamburgers back in that day. I was still eating meat and bacon and stuff, and yeah. We ordered some hamburgers. I remember what table we sat on. It was like a three chairs table next to the freaking wall, and him and I were sitting in front of each other. She sat between us, and I remember it was like a very awkward outing. Now, to put you in context of things, I'm a pretty chilled person, pretty laid back person. My friend as well. Like, it took us a while to start talking with her. I think we only started being friends on our second year of university, as far as I remember, if I remember correctly. And this guy was like the absolute opposite. He was like very loud with his hands and gestures and like loud, literally, and he wouldn't be able to just sit down and be quiet and just enjoy the silence, like he was very in the middle of everything. And that's who he was in every single scenario, almost. Not that I know him in every single, but you know what I mean. So I remember it was pretty awkward. She wouldn't participate much in the conversation. It was absolutely blatantly clear that she did not like him. We tried to, incorporate her or like make her to be involved in the conversation, and it didn't really work. It was really awkward. And I remember it was like a very short-lived lunch. After which she, as a good friend as she was, even though we weren't like really that close, she tried to warn me or maybe make me think about things more seriously in her own way. Now, granted, she did not say anything about narcissism. I didn't know anything about narcissism back then or toxic people, besides, my family. But what she did ask me was, I guess if she had asked a different question, maybe I would have understood what she means. But at the time, I was just like, what does it mean, so she said, doesn't he make you tired? And now that I think of it, with the knowledge of narcissism and toxic relationships, oh my goodness, such a profound question. It's a profound question because, like, for someone who comes from a healthy place and her parents were together back then, which is pretty much of an achievement for our century. I don't know how well they, I don't know the dynamics of their family, but they were together. And I could only assume that she came from a good family based on her relationship with me and the way, like, her demeanor and the fact that she was able to see through what I wasn't able to see through. And so it's such a profound thing to ask, actually, but only for someone who really knows what it feels like to be in a good place. She asked me, like, doesn't he make you tired? And to be honest, after years of, learning the hard way, as I always do, um, narcissists and toxic people, borderlines, cluster B people, really do make you tired, like, after a while. And for her, I guess the contrast was such a stark thing that she was able to just see it from the first day. And for me, I had lived in that's all I'd known, you know. I lived in a toxic family. I was born there. I was raised there. So it's all I knew. So I couldn't even, know that there's anything else. And so was I tired? I was tired all the freaking time, so I didn't even know that I was tired, you know. And so I didn't really understand her question. And of course, me and him continued dating almost 3 years. And only after breaking up with him and having like a couple of months of like calm and silence, and I remember like it took me 8 months out of those almost 3 years. Basically, after our second year, I knew that I have to break up with him, but it took me 8 months to leave him. It was the hardest gap between decision making and actually action, you know? And it was so hard because I would try to break up with him and he would like convince me not to, and I would stay. Like I was so freaking blind and naive. So only months after, and I'm getting to the point because I lost myself in the middle. After breaking up with him, I felt so relieved. Like I really felt as if a huge weight just was dropped off my shoulders and I could breathe. And only maybe half a year later, after breaking up with him, I found, and thank God for that, like such a blessing to find out about narcissism. My goodness. I think it was still 2000 and no, it couldn't have been 2009. Maybe 2010 because we broke up at, yeah, 2010. We broke up on the 7th of July. Could you imagine? Like, I still remember the day. I don't remember many other dates that have happened since, but I remember it's like freedom, you know? And I remember somewhere in October or November, I found about narcissism, and it was a huge blessing. So she, in her own way, my friend, tried to warn me. I didn't understand her question. There was no explanation, you know. I don't think she said that he's toxic. She never said that. Um, I guess, she just appreciated me to be an adult person who can make their own decision and actually see through things. And unfortunately for me, I wasn't able to, but I'm not feeling sorry about it. Like, probably if I didn't date him, I wouldn't know about narcissism, and maybe things that happened later would have been way worse. So, the sad thing I am sad about is that after, I didn't really understand her question and I continued dating him, she actually cut off our friendship. And we never really had like a conflict or anything like that. We never fought. We never had like a negative discussion or like a fight. I don't remember any of that. She just one day told me like I need to cut off our friendship. I can't tell you why. I think she mentioned something about her family, but she cut me off her life, and that was the end of the second year. So it was like a short-lived friendship, but she's the only one who's ever tried to warn me about a narcissistic or toxic person in my life. Why am I recording this video? I know many people have many different opinions. Question is there someone in your life that you truly trust and they have earned your trust? It's not like a blind trust. They have shown with their actions that they're a good person and they have your good, um like they want good things for you. They only mean you good. They don't have any hidden agendas and whatnot. And if you have these people in your life, appreciate them. And if they have expressed a worried opinion about someone you're about to get involved with, or you're already involved with, or you're married to, then please, like, don't take it blindly, but at least consider it with heavy seriousness. Especially now, 2022. My computer just went to sleep. Oh, okay, we're good. 2022, there's so much information about narcissism. I mean, 2007, 2008, there was almost nothing. And the way I discovered it was actually finding Sam Vaknin. And I know for a lot of you, you don't like him, but that guy, he was, that man, he was I think the only one for at least a couple of years on YouTube who was talking about narcissism. And he had such a profound impact on my life because he has it, and he has such a good insight, such a detailed insight on what really happens and the dynamic of things. And that saved me. That saved me a lot of heartache and gave me a lot of resolution and feeling of closure in my life and actually understanding what had happened. Luckily for me, though, before I actually found about narcissism, it was one book that got me on that path. And I think I was still dating that guy when I started reading it, because I remember in my mind, I started my healing path in 2009 and I broke up with him in 2010. So there was this Hebrew book. It's called Psychology Not for Psychologists. I've had it for so long at home. I remember I bought it when I was in the army with my mom. I remember we went to this bookstore and I picked 3 books. It was one of them, but for some reason I wasn't able to even look at it for so long. It took me like around 6 or 7 years to even look at it and start reading it. And oh my goodness, when I started reading it, it was about, there were like a couple of different chapters, maybe around 10, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But every chapter was about a different type of a character. That book put all the puzzle pieces in my life and gave me answers. And I guess for us, finding out the truth, it's like a layered thing. It's a layered pathway. It doesn't happen just with one friend asking you like, doesn't that guy make you tired? It's just a lot of seeds have to sprout and grow, and their fruits have to grow before you're able to, taste it and appreciate the message. And so what I'm trying to say here with all these, it's complicated for me words because I haven't spoken in English for so long, is that if someone that you truly trust in your life has earned your trust and they're warning you about a guy or a girl, we know not just men do evil things, women can leave stuff in the bed that they're not supposed to, women can do evil stuff too. So please just consider it, just like really think back and do not judge by words, judge by actions. And sometimes words can be actions. So if someone is verbally abusing you, that is not just words. Those words are important. That's an action. But you know what I mean, like if the person is telling you, no, I love you, I care about you, don't just look at that. If their actions are contradicting that, please just never mind the words, watch the actions and try and figure out where you truly are if you are looking for answers about your own life. And know that even if you have kids, it's never too late to make the right decision, especially if you have kids. Like, kids do not want to grow up in a bad situation. Kids are like sponges, they learn from example. As adults, we think that kids are just clueless, and that's ridiculous. It's, you might be 60 years old, you might be 30 years old. Childhood might be too far off from you to remember how you were, but if you do remember, you know that you're way more smarter than your parents gave you credit for. And so your kid knows if you're happy or unhappy. Your kid wants you to be happy. Your kid wants a safe place. And safety always comes first. Safety first. Like, you cannot build an empire on unsafe sand. Like, so that's all I have for you today. I wish you a beautiful, safe, God blessed, blissful, wonderful day. And please forgive my clothing. It's summer. Doesn't mean I'm not a Christian by values and by actions. And I know you didn't understand the conversation between my kitchen fridge and stove, but if you did, please translate it for me. I'm gonna see you next time, and bye.